Beauty. So step one, in this case, I bought the T1 base at the 100% base percentile, 139 out of 139 there, built the armor and evasion. Then I 30 qualityed it with fossils, picked fossils specifically. Get 30 quality. Then we put a gilded fossil on. At that point, normally I would alteration. However, I was being a little bit lazy today because I ran out of alts and I just didn't really feel like spending the time. So I just chaos spammed it. As you can see, I had 2 pairs of gloves there. And we hit frenzy charge on both of them. Next step, we just need to isolate the frenzy charge. So you can see that we did that here. And when I say isolate, I mean just the prefix. It can have 2 suffixes. You just need to be able to do this. In order to make it magic, like we just did there. So voila, now we've got a magic frenzy, +1 frenzy on item level 85, T1 base, 30 quality, 100% base percentile with the gilded fossil, which is more or less irrelevant on this base, since it doesn't have a base implicit, but still just for completion's sake, we'll get that there. So what we would do here then, pull up Craft the Exile. Let's see. Warlord caster, we can force. Are either caster mods naturally? No, there are not. Perfect. So now we're going to go. This can't be changed. Grab a few regals. We're going to head down to the menagerie. Drat, I ran out of imprints. Anyways, I will demonstrate on Craft of Exile. I'll buy imprints myself, but I don't want to make this video go too long. Emulator, item. What we do here is just regal, and then we would do harvest, reforge, caster. And you can see we get the spell damage guaranteed there. And we're gonna Maven Orbit, and we hit the frenzy again, but we still have a pesky prefix, which is now gone. Suffixes, crafted mods, prefixes cannot be changed. Scour that away. And voila. Now you can imprint this to your heart's desire. And then we can grab, whatever it is that we want to awaken with it, right? So if, let's say, for example, you're doing flicker gloves and you wanted to get, the strike skills, +2 strike skills. So we're going to look for ones here that have 2 Hunter's mods. Hunter. And we got to make sure that they're a single influence as well. There we go. Oh, this has actually got elevated. Oh, sorry, that's a dual influence, my mistake. Once we get past the 2 divine range, you stop there because we can just buy any one of these cheapest pairs here, and then do prefixes can't be changed and reforge to assure. Oh, there's an example there. I actually am not. I was gonna make some discharge gloves here, but just demonstrating how you can basically deterministically put together your influence items. So you can see we've got of the hunt, of the hunt. So there's only 2 mods, and neither of which we actually particularly want. Too bad. And yeah, that's a 50-50 you're going to have to go through. But basically there, what the end result would be, just imagine, well, let's say arbitrarily we were going for the attack skills there. And that we did have some imprints for our frenzy charge gloves there. What we would then do is, again, we would imprint first. Control C. Well, that doesn't. Oh. Well, anyways, Craft of Exile doesn't work, but yeah, that's what you would do. So you would just take your, the strike skills or whatever it is that you're looking for, uh, and then awaken it onto this. And if it hits, you'll have the double elevated mod that way, right? So obviously, what we're going to do here first, as I mentioned, is Reforge Caster, imprint Reforge Caster until we elevate the Frenzy Charge. Then we'll isolate the Frenzy Charge again. Prefixes can be changed, Scour, make it magic, so we can imprint it again. And so then we're just going to look for basically the cheapest, whatever your next influence mod is. For myself, since I was actually going to make discharge gloves, not flicker gloves, we'd be looking more towards, I think it would still be Hunter actually, but we'd be looking for Unnerve. So instead of the proportionate chance, unnerve enemies for 4 seconds on hit. And on top of that, we would also actually like the spell damage, but since we can force that any time, what we would go for here, yeah, is the unnerve. So what we would do, in my case, yeah. So we're just looking for unnerve, and then just any other hunter mod here. Oh, we're going 9% dex. Oh, there's one. Oh, there we go. We got one. Yeah. We're gonna hit this elevation, no problem. Oh shit! Oof. The RNG gods were punishing me for entertaining the idea of rolling flicker gear. Yeah. So with these ones, what's good? Just confirm hunters and unnerve. Well, that didn't work either. Darn. Anyways, that is the exact process we would go through. What's good about it is first, the base is that you want to, the basic idea is that you want to get the rarer, more expensive mods. So you can see here, Frenzy Charge is a 125 weighting, which obviously makes it the rarest of anything, even if you are going for the ball strike skills. And obviously it doesn't have a tag either, so that makes it much more difficult to get. in the case for me, actually, I guess blickers would probably care about the elevation as well. Oh, nice. We've got two more here. Okay, we'll grab these quickly. But yeah, since it's the rarer mod slash more expensive mod, you put that on the base you want. There we go. Unnerve for 4 seconds on hit. And this guy already left to trade us, so we'll buy his too. Hey, unnerve. Perfect. We got 2 elevated unnerves now. And again, as I mentioned, the only caveat here is that I ran out of the Krajiks. But you know what? We've been buying things this whole time. Whatever. Let's just do it. Sorry, YouTube. This is not going to be my most formalized video. Not that I'm exactly a savant when it comes to editing. But yeah, this basic method, like I have obviously people when I'm streaming day by day, people come in and ask me crafting questions often. And surprisingly, because you know, in my mind, it's just you know, something that I guess I take for granted that people would notice because it's been around for so long. But a lot of people seem to be confused by influence crafting, or you know, the optimal way to do it. I see people, you know, awakening suffixes with prefixes, or not knowing that you can get the magic, or worse, like you know, they'll get these bases that are perfect, and then you know, they don't. You know, they have no way to protect them technically, because they don't imprint them. Well, sorry, they do have a way to protect them, but they you know, by willful neglect or not, they choose not to do so. And then you know, once you awaken something together, it's basically you know, basically bricked if you don't hit what you want, and you got the double influence, right? At that point, it becomes exceedingly difficult to craft in of itself. Whereas with the state we have it right now, if I were being a little more financially conscious here, I'd probably just do one imprint at a time, since it is a 50-50. But we'll do 3 just so we don't have to come back down here. Try to keep this video under 15 minutes. The Awakener didn't hit there, right? So we got the spell damage, and that's okay, because we just revert it back like that. What do you know? That's super convenient. But the prefixes can't be changed on there. We wouldn't be able to elevate. Sorry for my intermittent shopping here. I just figured, you know, I hadn't turned on my stream yet, and I was gonna pick up a couple things. And I remember a couple people were asking me how, you know, how to make these the other day when I was kind of dabbling around with them. So I figured I'd just throw the recording on. Wasn't God damn it. Terribly organized ordeal by any means. Oof. That P1 attack speed. No matter. Okay, that's good. But we hit the elevation here, but unfortunately we've got to Get rid of a prefix still. And this is that's better than a 50-50, unfortunately. And we got it. Bangarang. Prefixes can't be changed. And we scour. There we go. So there's no point to put anything, by the way, following this. With respect to a meta mod or a benchcraft or whatever, because when we awaken them, it'll disregard all of that. We had 16 minutes. All right. All right. Elevated Unnerve. Elevated Frenzy Charge. And we hit T2. Woo! There we go, boys. That's how you do that. It's T2 life, but nobody's gonna mirror these. These are just for personal use. Hell yeah, baby. That's exactly what I wanted. Well, I mean, T1 life would have been exactly what I wanted, but yeah, that's there you go. Wow, that was fun. With respect to the suffixes, we have a few options there. Calling Strike, Stun Avoidance are both nice. These are all mostly useless. Increased Dexterity is not terrible. But yeah, we'll probably go for Aspect of the Cat here for discharge, of course. And that way we don't have to worry about it on our helmet. Aspect of the Cat. Culling Strike would be nice. That being said, though, we do have Culling Strike right here. So that's not super important. Stun Avoidance, it would be helpful. I mean, it's very easy to get stun immunity now, but actually, you know what? No, Culling Strike, because I forgot the elevation on it's 25% increased AoE, so that's really solid actually. So we'll go for Culling Strike. Unfortunately, there's no way to target craft that, but we can go for Reforge Influence, but that's what would the odds be on that one? We'd have 5,500 plus 2,750, 7,500, 8,250. It take us 33 tries on average. Plus, you always risk filling out the suffixes in that scenario as well. So we'll figure something out with that. Sorry, not to, I forgot the most glaring part too. Not to mention, if we are going for the elevation, it doesn't mean we have to put that with another elevated suffix. So luckily, there's lots of other options. We've got Aspect of the Cat. There's some reasonably good bench mods there. Attack speed's good, suppression, chaos res, and actually the veiled mods are quite good too. The global crit chance, increase elemental damage, even the focus, attack and cast speed well focused. And then yeah, bench mods as well. Anyways, yeah, so that was my quick little TLDR on how to do elevated crafting, or how I do, influence crafting. A couple people have been asking me that. Again, I've been doing some discharge helmets. I was tinkering around with some gloves the other day. So you can see here elevated power charge, elevated elemental damage, T1 crit multi, blah blah blah. And in particular, we're doing that with, these are actually quadruple elevated, or not, sorry, these have 4 influence mods, triple elevated with the essence. Here we've got elevated power, or elevated multi, elevated accuracy, and elevated fizz taken as fire. So there's another triple elevated there. And of course, there's no elevations with the Void Scepter, but this was also influence crafted. This method I just showed you guys there is the same one that I use for all of these. Typically, I recognize that there is, more of an associated cost with, meta modding and imprinting and things like that. However, if you're using something like this where you have an incredibly valuable base, um, so the contains or has one additional crafted modifier there, or in this case where you've got, 3 or 4 elevated mods stacked together, even in a case like this where you just have a very rare, frenzy charges are not easy to get, and yeah, it just saves you a little bit of money. Anyways, it's a more deterministic way to do it. Obviously, people can make their own decisions whether or not it makes sense for them to do. But yeah, so yeah, step one again, you want to get 100% base percentiles. We did there. Roll it to 30 quality, 4 socket, 4 link it. If gilded fossil, not necessarily mandatory, especially if you're going to double corrupt them at some point. Then you want to get your whatever your desired influence mod is. So in this case, it's a frenzy charge. You want to get that isolated on a magic item. Obviously, the easiest way to go about this is to alteration them. If it's a very rare mod, sometimes I just chaos orbit, as I did with these ones, and then use an annulment orb until I isolate either the prefix or the suffix with respect to if the influence mod we're going for is a prefix or a suffix. And once we have that isolated, you then do prefixes or suffixes cannot be changed and scour. That'll make it a magic item. From there, we imprint it after crafting either prefixes or suffixes cannot be changed. We then look for another another influence mod within its own influence type. So for Warlord, again, we had the Frenzy Charge, and we saw that spell damage was the only caster modifier, meaning that since we have prefixes can't be changed on the imprint, we do Reforge Caster, and it'll guarantee that spell damage. And then we can go for the elevation. If it hits, bada boom, bada bing, repeat, isolate that elevated mod, and then you can awaken to your heart's desire. We actually got incredibly lucky here. Obviously, hitting the T2 life on our first Awakener was exceptionally lucky. But yeah, still some far more to go with this. Basically, by the way, my plan with that was right now I'm using +1 frenzy charge with these, which give 7% spell damage per power charge. That's 63 increased damage and 7% per frenzy charge, 77. So that's 140% increased damage, which is obviously very good. However, I wanted to weigh the balance of getting a nerve, the frenzy charge. Plus, we can get with Hinakora's locks, we can make sure that we get double frenzy charge with the corruption. Plus, we can get the AOE, the culling strike, the aspect of the cat, the crit and elemental damage. I just think that on the whole, we can actually make better gloves here. Plus, it's kind of a fun project since I haven't had so much time spent on influence items these days. Just because I find them in general, they tend to be a little bit lower tier than say synthesis when it comes to not lower tier but less sought after than something like synthesis items when it comes to mirror crafting. But I must say it is quite fun getting back into it, and I just thought I'd make this. Well, I meant for it to be 15 minutes. Here we are at 23. Yeah, just thought I'd help explain that a little bit. So yeah, the process is again, as I just mentioned, you isolate it basically until you can get it to isolated on the elevated mod. Make sure it's magic. You don't need to use a meta mod at that point. Then you're just going to go and buy whatever it is that you want to awaken onto it. In our case, it was Unnerve. What the strength of this lies in the fact that the awakened mod can basically just be something completely garbage, right? The base type can be completely junk. So in this case, we had like an assassin's mitt. All you need to look for is make sure it's got the single influence, right? Because you can't awaken something that's dual influenced. And you want to make sure it just has one other influence mod. So in our case, we had a nerve. And so we're looking for a nerve and one other influence hunter on influence mod. Awaken that together. So the unnerve is elevated and it's the only one there. And then we just awaken that over and see what result we get. If it doesn't hit something desirable, we can try to annul it. Annul exalt, null exalt. If it gets rid of either of the elevated mods, fine. We just imprint it back and rinse and repeat. Gloves are obviously not the best case example for this because they're not particularly expensive as a base type. However, something like this, a scepter that has +1 crafted modifier, especially a 40% elemental damage scepter, which is the higher end of the implicit there. These are 50, 100 divines each, and they like are never on the market. So doing that method with something like this is incredibly important. because in this case, I would have got socketed spell skills. Socketed skills deal 40% more spell damage, right? I would have had that on the base initially. But by the way, to get it to Shaper, just use whatever the cheapest Conqueror orb you can afford is, or the cheapest one you can find. It's usually often Warlords or Crusaders, and then you can just come here and reforge the influence. Reforge or randomize influence. Since Shaper and Elder do not have Conqueror orbs. Yeah, so you just put on Warlords or whatever, or Crusaders, reforge the influence there, and then you stop when it's Shaper, roll it as a magic item, or do reforge cast, whatever it is, to get the 40% more spell damage. Isolate it as a prefix like that. Since there's no elevations, it cuts a step out of the process. Imprint it, and then you're going to go and find, just go by, it has to be the same weapon type. So in our case, we just had to go look for scepters that had the T1 fire penetration, which was not very difficult to find at all. And yeah, just a process of awaken. And that way, and I can tell this all the time, right? Like, it might, for those of you who do this already, this might sound patronizing, but I can tell that people aren't doing this all the time, because so often when I look, I see I'd see these one crafted, one can have one additional crafted modifier items for sale on the trade site, and they've already got, like, here, see, Shaper and Elder. See, like this is complete brick, right? There's never a situation where you should have it like this and not have at least your prefixes done, right? If you do what I just mentioned, right? So this was just Shaper right now with just the more spell damage, right? You can just awaken in particular, because the base is very expensive and because it doesn't have elevated mods, so it'll be very cheap to just buy another dagger that has whatever the Elder mod is, or vice versa. But yeah, I mean, until it's in a state similar to this, there really is no reason for it to not be like that. In particular, these are incredibly easy to craft and quite fun. Anyways, this video is about double the length I meant for it to be, so I do apologize about that. It seems to be my gift and curse. Hopefully this was helpful for those of you who are crafting still or playing the league still. Best of luck and happy hunting. And if you guys have any crafting questions or things you want it specifically, you can, like, can be the item verbatim specifics. Leave a comment in the video below. I'm thinking about doing like kind of a series where, you know, I take like the top 5 most upvoted questions or you know, crafts in each comment, and then I could just make a video explaining how to craft it or how I would craft it. There's a bit of a disconnect sometimes between what, you know, my expectations are, or what I presume to be just like baseline understanding, and that the experiences of perhaps newer players or people that are just not you know, as into the whole crafting scene. With respect to the formatting, if you guys can do me a favor, this is all I need to know. Base item, eye level, implicits, prefixes, suffixes. If you do want to you know, take me up on that offer there, and if you have some questions, this is all I need to know. And it's actually my preference to know that. Often when people are describing their crafts to me, it's sort of like you know, it's like 20 questions sometimes. Oh yes, I want to play this build because of this and this, and yes, it's going to be an axe that will blow away all the other axes. Like, okay, and so sorry, man. What is it? Did you want a fizz weapon? Elemental? One-hander? Two-hander? They're like, oh yeah, sorry, dude. So this is literally the only information I need to know, and it's a good way to get yourself training or thinking mentally too when it comes to crafting, because each one of these are separate processes. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna cut the video here. Keep it under 30 minutes. It's at 29 now. I will see you soon. Gonna drop a couple more videos today. Anyways, cheers, guys. Peace.